What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Welcome to some Forza Horizon 4. And in today's video, I'm going to show off my collection of cars, finally. I know I've been asked in the past, like a long time ago, and I was like, you know, I don't think this will be a very entertaining video. It'll be kind of like slow pace and just whatever, just me literally showing you like the cars that I have. But in yesterday's video, someone commented the same thing. He said just show off your like top 15 cars that you use offline or whatever. But instead of that, I'm just going to show you guys all of my cars because I'll just go through the ones that I don't really care about that much, you know, more quickly, just so you guys can see. But yeah, his comment has, as of me recording this, 142 likes. So, I mean, I can't really ignore that. There's a decent amount of people that want to see that. So that's what's going to happen in today's video. Did I speak English there? That's what's going to happen in today's video. There we go. That makes more sense. Anyway, so yeah, welcome to my garage. And I'm going to show you guys all 800 of my cars. It's actually 790 something at the moment because I auctioned off a bunch of duplicates that I have. Anyway, we'll get started with the very first car, the one that I'm driving right now. And the reason I'm driving this thing, it is because it's one of my first best cars that I've had. I absolutely loved the Speed 12. Obviously, this is it obvious? Actually, I can't remember if it is, but it most likely is. Actually, I can see how to do that. Watch this. There is a way to check if this is a barn find, which is what I was trying to say. Yeah, you can't remove the car from your garage if it's a barn find. So yeah, basically, I love this thing. I absolutely adore this DVR. The way I built it and everything, it's a perfect universally built car that I pretty much ended up using for all the different Forza-thon events and all that sort of stuff. It was brilliant at the time. I used it for a lot of off-road events. I used it for a bunch of other stuff. Like, this was like early on in the game when not, you know, a lot of the high-end cars that are there now exist. So it used to accelerate very quickly. It had a high top speed. I used to handle very well because I kind of built it more for handling than top speed wise. And with the off-road tires, it was also very, very good off-road. And this is pretty much what I ended up using for a lot of the events. But yeah, that is the story of the Speed 12. This is still up there, like top 3 cars in the game that I've ever used. It's just way too good for me not to put it there. Like, this is OG though, you know. Anyway, let's move on. What's special in a Barth? The 595. The 595 SS, for the people that know about this car, obviously it's one of the best drift cars in the game. It used to be. The BMW Zeta and all that sort of stuff has changed now, but the small form factor of this thing used to make this thing a monster. Again, it's still very, very, very good, but yeah, it's just that's what it is. That's why I have one of them. The other one, I'm pretty sure someone else ended up building for me in one of the videos, but that's pretty much it. That's why I have them. Anything else? Nothing too interesting here. All of these cars, there's a bunch of cars that have different tunes on them and stuff like that. That's why I have 2 Integras here. One of them is a rally built front wheel drive spec version of this Integra, and then there's another one here that is a rear wheel drive version of it, which I'm pretty sure this was part of I think a wheel spin drift build or something that I ended up building with this thing. So again, they have different sort of builds. There's a reason why they're on the channel. This again was, you know, in one of the more recent videos that I made on the channel where I checked out people's tunes. So a lot of these cars have specific tunes, a bunch of different types of tunes on them that, you know, you guys should have seen in the videos and stuff like that. But there are a lot of them that I haven't really like properly touched. But I mean, you know, the ones that have new on them, I literally haven't touched. But like, I have driven pretty much all of my cars in this game. But yeah, again, bunch of different types of tunes and stuff like that for some of these cars. Nothing really interesting that really stands out in Alpha here. So I guess I'll move on to Alpine. Again, Alpine, not much here. Again, I just ended up doing a build on this thing. The Illumicraft or Lumicraft. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Illumi because it's aluminium craft. I'm guessing, right? But yeah, not much going on here, to be completely honest with you. AMC, kind of fun cars to drive. I think I've had different ones in the past. I've had different types of builds on these in the past. But yeah, these say new because obviously, you know, I had duplicates of these and I got rid of them and all that sort of stuff. So that's why they're there as new. Warthog, very, very cool. Very cool. I've had many different builds on this thing. I've used it in the past on a bunch of different types of events and tunes and all that sort of stuff. Pretty cool truck, off-road thing. Obviously, it's nothing really, it's nothing really like you know, normal to be like, oh yeah, Warthog, yeah, I love using this thing, this is the best car, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a Warthog. I mean, what else? The Apollo, to be completely honest with you, I don't think I've ever used this thing since it came out. Like, I've used it once, I think, when I made a video on it, and then that's pretty much it. I just put it aside. I just don't use it, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, it's here. Aerials, again, not much happening here. I've used both of these for different events and all that sort of stuff, but again, nothing really crazy going on with aerial here. Ascari, again, is just, I've used that, I've driven it, it's fun, but nothing really crazy here. Aston Martin. Aston Martin have some interesting ones. This I absolutely love. I love the way it looks and everything about it. I think I've done a build on it before. Vantage was obviously one of those cars that's a DLC, as you can see. So I ended up doing, you know, a build on it, and then that's pretty much it. I don't think I've driven it afterwards. This AMR Pro that I have here, I'm pretty sure I turned this thing into a drift car, or attempted to, because of the livery and everything that's on it. I'm pretty sure I tried to turn this thing into a drift car. It just didn't go that well, because obviously it's a race car. It's not really made to slide around. So the steering lock and all that sort of stuff is just way off on it. But yeah, anyway. DB11, nothing really else that's interesting here. I haven't actually ever driven this, to be completely honest with you. The Zagato. Yeah, everything else is pretty much, I've used it, I've tried it, and then I moved on. ATS, I haven't used this thing, to be completely honest with you. I've probably driven it when, like way back, whenever, but I haven't actually properly driven this thing. So I don't really know what it's like. Alright, V10 Plus. This is a very fun car. I've used it before. It has a different tune on it now. I'm pretty sure it was because of a video, but mine was dumb fast, like really fast. And that's why it's built. It's actually built. I have a lot of stuff bought for this thing. I like it. I like it a lot. Audi TTS Coupe, again. I've already had one of these, but just stock. It's a common car. So, I mean, you get it a lot of the time through the wheel spins anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I ended up getting rid of this multiple times, but one of them I always kept in my garage. Anyway, let's move on. RS6, I love. I haven't actually driven this thing since the last time that I made that video where I show off all of the police cars in the game. I think I've had a different build on this before that, but since then, which was like years ago, I haven't actually touched this RS6. Everything else, again, there's just different types of tunes for this thing. RAV10, again, I like the way it looks. It's more tailored towards the whole, you know, lowered static sort of look. So that's why it looks like that in the thumbnail picture there. When I'm driving it, it's also super low and all that sort of stuff. So it's it looks good. It looks good. But yeah, it's not made to be stupid fast either. It's only got about 890 horsepower. But it's a nice car. I like it. RS7, to be completely honest with you, I haven't actually driven it. I have driven it, but I haven't actually done anything to it. I haven't modified it or anything like that. That's why you can see it's pretty much stock. RS4 Avant, again, super common car. Even though it does say rare, it's very common. It just comes and goes all the time. I get rid of these and then they just come back again through wheel spins. Same with the Audi RS5, RS3, TTRS. Again, it says new on them because I get rid of them and they just come back again because they're just very common in wheel spins and all that. RS6. This was actually kind of cool. I used this a little bit when I was doing... actually, I use this quite often when I'm doing saloon races, right? So there's... Is it saloons? Sports saloons? I think it's sports saloons. What's the class? Super saloons. There we go. I forgot I could just check. I use this thing a lot when I'm doing the super saloon races, when there's like some sort of championship or whatever festival playlist. I use this RS6. It's actually very good. It's really fast. And then... Also, this RS6, I use this thing when it comes to retro saloons. These are both very crazy tunes. They drive so well. RS4 is a bit out of the way. I think I ended up doing a build on this thing where I maxed this thing out. That's why it's called 1200 horsepower. But other than that, I don't think I've used this thing. But yeah, RS6s, both the C5 and the C6, I've used both of these. Alright, and I still do whenever it requires me to do any sort of super saloons or retro saloons championships for the festival playlist. I just realized it's not actually this RS6, it's this RS6 that I do because it's capped at 800. Yeah, so this is the one that I use when it comes to those championships. Actually, no, this is the one where I have to be capped, but this is the S2 one. What have I done to this one? I honestly can't remember. Anyway, I think this is the one that I was talking about that I was mentioning that I was using for events. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'll keep that one. Rest of them haven't really properly played with. I have driven all of these. Haven't actually played with them properly, but yeah. I think I'm going to end up speeding up things quite a bit here because once I think I get past BMW, there's not really a lot of crazy cars that I do here. Again, this barely use, obviously for some events, for some videos. Same with all of these. Type D, barely use that thing. BAC mono, don't use it. Bentleys, this is cool. Whenever I made a video on this thing, that was really, really cool. Again, rest of the stuff. Probably had a build or two in the past, but I don't really use them at all. Out of BMW, I like a lot of the BMWs. This is probably the only car that I actually do like, where it's black on black. I don't think there's any other car that I actually enjoy having black and then with black wheels. I just think it's boring. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, M6. I love driving this thing just because it's just like sort of murdered out. It's nice. I don't like the way it's swapped, engine swapped. I don't remember whenever I did this thing. I'm gonna change this thing back to the way it was, but I don't like that I engine swapped it. I don't remember doing that, to be completely honest with you. Everything else, again, M4, GTS, I ended up just using this thing just because I can turn it into a police car with the lights on it, and that's pretty much it. Everything else, I probably have driven it a couple of times, again, maybe for some videos or something like that, but other than that, there's nothing really crazy. Obviously, the M3 GTR, I built this thing for the video. One of the coolest cars I have, I think the 850 CSI, I love this thing. It's so cool to drive. Yeah, moving on. Isetta, again, I've had different types of builds on this thing. Obviously, one of them that's being saved is the newest one where it just doesn't drive fast at all. But yeah, that's pretty much what that is. And yeah, moving on. Bowler, don't use it. Bugatti, don't use any of these things. Again, I used to use this thing for off-road drift zones, I think. This was actually very good for off-road drift zones before. Some of the other cars got proper builds on them. Again, a lot of these things I've just messed around with, tried to do drift builds and stuff like that on them, just to see what they're like. GNX, I love. Don't use it as much as I want to, but I really like the GNX. Very cool car. This I don't use. Cadillac, don't use any of them, to be honest with you. Use this maybe once or twice. Make videos on it and all that sort of stuff. That's it. Yeah, no. Nope. And when it comes to Chevy, again, it's just stuff for videos. Other than that, I don't really use anything. Again, this can have police lights on it, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, like, I don't really use any of the Chevys in this game at all. I don't. There's some cool ones in here. You can see from the thumbnail and all that sort of stuff. Something lower than Palas and stuff like that, but yeah, not really using those. That's the 510 D-Class 500. Very good car. Very good. I actually really like the way this drives for a D-Class 500 car. So yeah, I use it for that. Whenever I have to use any sort of D-Class 500 cars, I use the Datsun. It's fun. Dodge. Do I use anything from Dodge? I don't. Dom's Charger, again, for videos. And that's pretty much it. And yeah. Nope. Again, I use it for a video because it just came out, so nope. 488 Pista, very fun car to drive. Not really a lot of stuff in Ferrari that stands out. Obviously, we have the 599 XX Evo, the fastest car in the game, with some tunes that I have on it. Other than that, nothing really else. I mean, there's a lot of cars that, ooh, this, I love this. Absolutely adore the 512 Testarossa. I love this thing. It's so cool. Such a presence on the road. Very retro. I love it. I love it to bits. It's very cool. Yeah, it's one of my favorite cars in the game. Definitely. Rest of these don't really use. Fiat, again, except for videos, I haven't actually used these. Ford, again, Ford have some interesting ones. These two are sick. Obviously, they are competition cars, you know, FD competition cars. So I don't know why they're in Ford. They should have been in FD. Doesn't make a difference. I use both of these for specific races, for specific events. They're actually very fun. As for the rest of the Ford cars, I don't really use any of these. They're all just, I've used them for videos and stuff like that, and that's pretty much it. Anything that's come out as DLC, or not as DLC, but like, you know, through updates, I've ended up using those, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, I don't actually use any of these cars at all. The Deluxe Coupe, again, another car that you could use for drifting. Some people are saying it's very, very good. I have used it before. It is actually quite good. And it's pretty fun to use. Moving over to the FD cars. Only two cars that stand out for me here are the 599 GTB and the Viper. I like both of these in their own way. The Viper is obviously the better car out of pretty much the rest of these cars. This I like using because it's just different. You know, when you pop up on the leaderboard in the 599 instead of the Viper, it's kind of funny. But yeah, the rest of them, I mean, they can't really compete that much with the Viper. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really use any of them except for the Viper whenever that comes to using it. F9, very weird off-road thing. I use it sometimes, but it's just weird to drive. I like it though, but it's just weird. GMC, don't use it except for videos, even though I love the Cyclone. The Cyclone's very, very cool. Don't use this. This is one of the best drift cars in the game, hands down. Try it yourselves. I've used that in videos before. I've shown what tunes I've used. I think it's Fujiwara's tunes. If you want to watch those videos, I mean, obviously they're on the channel somewhere, but very, very, very cool drift car. Hennessy, use it for videos, nothing else from there. Hillman Imp, again, I've used it for videos, and that's it. Anything from Holden, the same, just pretty much used it for whatever videos, and nothing else. Okay, Honda. What do I have in Honda? I have two S2000s, which I love. They drive very, very well. The NSX drives well as well. I think this NSX is sick. I love driving this thing. Very, very cool NSX. Other than the S2000s and that, again, the two NSXs, I mean, this is just stupid fast. Nothing else. I built this thing as a front wheel drive with a stupid amount of power. That's pretty much it. As for other things, I'm pretty sure it's just either video related or I've just never driven them. But that's pretty much it. Now in Hoonigan, not really a lot of stuff I use here except for the one car, which is right here. The Hoonigan RS 200 Evo. Best off-road car in the game. One of the best off-road cars in the game, actually, because the Shelby King Cobra is up there now as well. I love this thing. This is the car that I used to get first in the world on one of the events, and then third on the second event. Again, this is an absolutely monstrous car. It's very, very good. If you don't have it, try to get yourself one. It's sick. It's, like I said, it's one of the best cars in the game. Definitely top 3. As for anything else that's interesting here, it's kind of rare. I guess this is kind of rare. I mean, there's only like, I think, a couple of ways you can probably get this thing. I don't think you can buy it on the auction house or anything like that. So there's only a couple of ways that you can actually get this car. I can remove it if I want to, but yeah, there's no point. As for everything else, this used to be a cool drift car that I used to have, off-road drift car. This was way back whenever the game came out, pretty much, because obviously a lot of these cars have been replaced with some faster and better cars, but yeah, that's pretty much it from Hoonigan. Moving on, Hot Wheels, don't use any of these. This is all video stuff, but that's pretty much it. I don't use any of the Hot Wheels cars. HSV, same. It's just video related stuff. Nothing too crazy here. Hudson Hornet, again, I've never used it except for when I was making a video. Don't use it outside of that. Hummer, the same. Hyundai, the same. Infiniti, the same. Same. Jaguar, I don't think I drive anything from Jaguar, to be completely honest with you. This used to be the fastest car in the game back on Forza Horizon 3. Used to also make more power, I think, if I remember correctly. But yeah, obviously in this game, it's different. And again, other than videos, don't use anything from Jaguar at all. James Bond edition cars, again, except for videos, I don't actually use any of these cars. Cheap. Trailcat, insanely good car. Very, 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 very good car. Especially for off-road trailblazer events and stuff like that. It's sick. It's so good. Other than that, the rest of them I don't use. Just video stuff. Kia, probably never driven it, to be honest, in the game. Koenigsegg. Okay, Koenigsegg have a pretty sick lineup here. The Agera RS is, or used to be, one of the fastest cars in the game. It used to also be one of the better handling cars in the game. And it also used to be very, very good for jumps, because you can actually brake midair and then tilt the front forward and, you know, have it slide on the nose and stuff like that. You can do that with this thing. Obviously, it's changed now. This was very, very good when the game first came out. Now it's sort of but it's absolutely sick. It's still top 5 favorite car in the game, pretty much. And then the CCGT, which is one of, if not the best handling car in the game. It was very, very, very good when it came out. It's still very, very good now. It's sick. It's just too good. I mean, there's a bunch of different types of tunes you can use on this thing. It's just very good. So the Agera RS and the CCGT are just up there, top 5 cars most likely for forever on this game. But yeah, anyway, moving on. The Crossbow, or the X-Bow GT4. This used to be one of my favorite cars that I've built for handling. Absolutely brilliant car. Obviously, you know, the replacement is right here, but this used to be very, very, very good. I used to love using this thing. I think actually the replacement is not the CCGT, but it's the VW ITR, because this is so small and it's just so nippy. Like, it shoots off like so quickly out of corners. It was a very, very good car and handled very well. So this used to be, again, an older car that I ended up using a lot for, you know, speed zones and stuff like that. So very good car. Moving on, Lamborghini. Don't use any of them, to be completely honest with you. Again, it's just video related stuff, and that's pretty much it from Lamborghini. I do have, I think, a couple of rare cars in here, but other than that, yeah, I mean, you can see them yourselves what I have here. But other than that, I don't actually use anything. All right, moving on. Lancia again. Except for video stuff, I don't really use anything. Actually, I do use the 037. I forgot about that. I completely forgot about it. When I have to do a retro rally and it's like A-class, top of A-class, 037 is actually very, very good. So I use that quite a bit. Land Rover. Don't use any of these. Just video stuff and that's it. I'll get, obviously, the Lego cars. You know, I have to have the Lego cars because of the Lego expansion. Don't really use them, to be honest with you. They're fun to take out sometimes to play around with them, but that's pretty much it. They're very fast, by the way. I mean, they pretty much replicate the cars in the game. But like, I mean, this has 1,700 horsepower, which is absolutely crazy. Anyway, moving on. Lexus, don't really use Lexus. They're fun, especially RCF. The RCF is actually very, very good to drift with, but don't really use them. Local Motors, don't use them. Nope. Lotus. The Esprit is one of my favorite looking cars in the game. Other than that, everything else is just for video stuff, and then I don't use it. Maserati, the same, it's just video stuff. The rest of the stuff I don't really use. They're very cool cars. Obviously the MC12s, all the different versions of them in the game, they're very cool. Other than that, don't use them. Mazda. Mazda, I do use some of these actually. I have 2 MX-5 here. These are both used for drift events whenever I'm doing anything online, like drift adventures. So obviously A-class rear-wheel drive or A-class all-wheel drive. So that's what these tunes are. RX-7, one of my favorite Japanese cars of all time. Obviously have to have one of these. This has gone through many changes and it'll probably change again afterwards. The RX-7, this here, I love. I love the way it looks. I love everything about it. Very retro car. It's sick. McLaren. The Senna I use sometimes. It's very, very good. Other than that, I think out of McLaren, this is also one of the faster cars in the game. And one of the better cars in the game for handling. Senna I used to use quite a bit. Other than that, the McLaren F1 GT used to be a stupid, stupid fast car. One of the fastest accelerating cars in the game, actually. Obviously, that car has been taken off it. Anyway, moving on. Mercedes AMG. Other than videos, I don't really use a lot of these. Same with just normal Mercedes. Love the Hammer. It's like, it's up there again for me. It's very weird. There's all like these older cars and retro cars that I absolutely love in the game, which is very, very cool. I definitely want them to add more and more of these in the future games. Definitely. Again, other than video stuff, I don't really use anything else from here except for the Hammer. Moving on to Mercury. Don't use Mercury, even though the Mercury Coupe is actually kind of fun to drift with. If it has a good tune on it. I think I got rid of the one that has my tune on it. But yeah. Anyway, this was again just for videos. MG again, don't really use any of it. Mini, don't use it. It's just all video stuff. Mitsubishi, love the Eclipse. The rest of the cars don't really use that much, to be honest with you. The Eclipse though is very, very cool. Morgan, don't use any of them. Mosler, probably still is, One of the best cars in the game. Obviously, a lot of things this car took over from some of the older cars. The jumps from the Koenigsegg, it became the fastest car in the game at one point. Obviously, the 599 XX Evo is now the fastest car in the game, but this used to be one of the fastest cars in the game. It still is very, very quick right now. It's perfect for jumps. I mean, it's an all-rounder, like very, very good car. Handles well, it jumps well, has a high top speed. It's just very, very good overall. Mazda, if you don't have one, try get yourself one because it's so sick. Don't use it. Nissan, again, other than video cars, don't really have anything. The pre-order car, I guess, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's just a bunch of different types of builds here. Again, for different reasons. I ended up using this quite a bit for when I was doing any sort of racing online. I got this thing to handle very, very well. Obviously, there's a bunch of other cars that are very, very good on this list for A-Class 800. But yeah, A-Class 800 all-wheel drive. I used to use the R32 quite a bit. And then, obviously, the Hakusuka. Pretty much my favorite Japanese car of all time. Has to be there, and I have to have a tune on it. Anyway, moving on. Noble, don't use Opel. Pagani, don't use. Peel, they're fun, they're quirky, they're cool to drive. Other than video stuff, I don't really use them offline at all. Peugeot, nah, don't use them. Even though this is very cool, but I don't use it. Plymouth, don't use any of those. Don't use Pontiac, even though this is kind of cool. Porsche, I like a lot of these. 918 Spider is so good for S2 type races. Very, very good car. I love using that. As for everything else, it's just a lot of sleeper stuff. I mean, well, not a lot, but like this is a sleeper here. It's a 911 Carrera S. That has 1,400 horsepower. But yeah, there's a lot of different sort of builds here, with some rare cars and some interesting ones. Yeah, other than video stuff, every now and then I'd take one of these cars out and drive it and just to you know, mess around with it and see what it's like. But other than that, I don't really use a lot of the stuff from this list. I love this thing. This is so sick for drag racing. I actually really like the 959 for drag racing, especially with that build on it. Very cool. Don't use this except for when the video came out. Again, same with these. Nope. It's fun, but nope. Don't use anything from Renault except for the Renault 5, and this was only back at a time when I needed to grind for skill points, which at the moment I don't really have to anymore. But yeah, this is the best car, in my opinion, still to grind for skill points. It's very, very cool. Concept 2 from Rimac. Fun car. Not really a car I use all the time, but it's a fun car. It's not bad. Don't use that. Don't use that. Don't use that, even though it's kind of retro and interesting looking. Don't use it though. Saloon, again, don't use it. Shelby's got an interesting lineup here. This is fun. Very, very, very fun to use. Obviously, this came out not that long ago, and I'm making a video on it. Very, very cool car. Monaco King Cobra. Shelby Monaco King Cobra. This is the fastest accelerating car in the game at the moment. It also is very good for some jumps, and it's also very good for drifting. Point drifting, I mean. It's also very good for off-road events as well. It's just an all-around absolute monster. If you don't have one of these, get yourself one. There's tunes out there that you can just download, and it's a crazy car. Definitely recommend you get this thing over all of the rest of the cars, pretty much. Get yourself a King Cobra. It's unreal. Very, very good car. Don't use it. Clearly, it still says new on it. I haven't clicked on it yet. Subaru. Don't really use any of these. Again, it's just video stuff. Again, even this was just for a video. I don't know what the hell this thing is. Don't use it. Gurkha, fun car. Well, fun house to drive. Other than that, don't use it. Tractor, again, interesting. Don't really drive it other than when it was in a video. Out of Toyota, I think obviously this is the most recognizable thing here. Don't really use any of these for anything, to be completely honest with you. I'll take them out every now and then and mess around with them, but other than that, I don't really use them that often. Anyway, moving on. Don't use anything from Triumph. don't use anything from TVR except obviously for the Speed 12 that I have on now. Well, I used to use it. Obviously, I don't really do it anymore because there's just other cars out there that have replaced it. Nothing in Vauxhall. VW IDR. Absolutely monstrous car when it comes to grip racing. Obviously, it's fully electric, so it has instant torque. Very, very cool. Get yourselves one of these if you can, because it is seriously fast. Everything else, maybe there's a couple of rare cars here and there. I don't really pay attention to the rare cars anymore in this game, but other than that, I don't really use a lot of stuff from this. Maybe some stuff to cruise around in, and other than that, that's pretty much it. Volvo, interesting cars. Very interesting selection of cars. The 242, very, very fun to drive. 850R as well, again, very, very fun to drive. And then the Iron Knight, which is obviously something that I've built in the past. Lycan, don't use. The Jeep, obviously you've seen it. It's very, very good for off-road drifting. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Zembo, I don't really use any of these things. It's just whenever I feel bored and I want to have a look at the wing of this TSRS, that's when I use it. But other than that, I don't really use it. And that is my collection of cars on Forza Horizon 4. If you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like it. Hopefully it's not as boring as I think it was, but people have asked me to try and do it, so I was like, you know what? Go on then. Why not? You guys can see my collection of cars that I have. A lot of the cars that you see on this list come and go. I get rid of them because they're duplicates, or I can't, like, if I fill up the list. Obviously before, there used to be a cap on the cars that I used to have. Obviously now the cap has been lifted quite a bit higher, so I'm not stuck on like whatever it was, like 750 cars or 500 cars or whatever it was. So obviously I don't really have to get rid of cars anymore that often, but I do still get rid of a lot of cars all the time. So yeah, like I said, the cars come and go. But for now, that's it. Thank you guys very much for watching today's video. Thank you for the video suggestion as well. And yeah, if you liked it, like it. If you want to see more videos from me on the channel, then subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.